Hey, GLP-1 Plus SideZ community. Before we jump into the podcast, please take the time to leave us a 5-star review on whatever audio platform you're listening to the podcast on. Share your story and how the podcast has helped you. This will help us get referred up in the audio platform so that we can reach more people that need our help, our support, and guidance from our doctors. Help us get loud and change things. Are you interested in understanding GLP-1 medications like Ozempic, wegovy, or Mounjaro? Then join us on the Plus SideZ Cracking the Obesity Code, the groundbreaking podcast helping people change their lives one episode at a time. The Plus SideZ Podcast is a disruptor. We're breaking down barriers, smashing stereotypes, and sharing inspiring stories that'll leave you feeling informed and empowered. Join us every week to learn from doctors who are specialists around GLP-1 medications like Ozempic, wegovy, and Mounjaro. They'll provide you with science and facts to validate these incredible stories. But that's not all. We'll also bring you the voices of the GLP-1 Mounjaro TikTok community, real people who face the challenges of obesity-related diseases and disorders and discovered the incredible plus sides of GLP-1 medications. Our episodes are filled with heartwarming stories, laughter, and moments of triumph. You'll connect with our amazing community members who are reclaiming their health and experiencing their fullest lives. Are you ready to embark on a journey of discovery and empowerment? Tune in to the Plus SideZ Cracking the Obesity Code, and together we'll change the narrative around obesity and end the stigma. Subscribe now on YouTube or your favorite podcast platform and join our incredible community. Let's celebrate the plus sides of life together, because every story deserves to be heard. Every life deserves to shine, and everyone deserves access to expert knowledge and medication. The Plus SideZ Podcast. You're not alone. It's not your fault. Hey everyone, before we dive in, I really want to share something personal with you. About, I want to say like 8 to 10 months ago, after losing 100 pounds on GLP-1s and keeping it off for a long time, I started regaining out of nowhere, and I was terrified. But I also started having hot flashes and bouts of crying and snacky cravings and waking up at 3 a.m. unable to go back to sleep. It turns out I was in perimenopause. So I started hormone replacement therapy, which is also called HRT, through a telehealth called Winona that specializes in this. And it changed everything. And now I'm sleeping better. And my hot flashes are all but gone, thank God. And I feel like myself again. And it turns out that you can actually start perimenopause as early as 35. And well, I'm 46 and she's here. HRT has really come a long way, and there's just no need to suffer anymore. So if you're like this and you're in the same boat, you can check out buywinona.com and you can use the link in our link tree to save some money.
Want the fastest working GLP-1? For half the price, Ro now offers FDA-approved weight loss injections cheaper, with results you can see faster. Lose 15% of your weight with the formula from Eli Lilly that hits not one, but 2 hormones to curb hunger and nausea. Weight loss faster, confidence higher, price cheaper. See if you qualify at ro.co/TV.
Welcome to the
Where you been?
podcast.
How you been?
What you doing? How you doing? How's it going?
What's up?
Because we don't talk every day. How you doing, Kat? Welcome back.
Hey, welcome back.
My nose looks really big. I think that it looks this big because my face is so much smaller because of all the weight loss. I didn't realize I had such a big schnoz. I do. It's huge and pointy. Look at that thing.
I can't. That's
got a life of its own.
I have a round one. I have a ball.
Your nose is toes cute. Mine's mine's sort of witchy, you know? Look at that. Look at that witchy nose. Okay. Oh my gosh.
Alphabet.
Welcome to the Plus SideZ Podcast. If you're new here, my name is Kim.
We're idiots.
And this is Kat. Kim and Kat. What? But sometimes Kat and I'll go, we'll be really like squirrel. Like we'll go squirrel, you know? And then we'll be like, what if 2 friends started a podcast together that had ADHD? Oh yeah, we did.
And BED.
And obesity and BED, right? All the letters in the land.
Talk about all our issues.
If you are new here, Kat and I run
Make you listen
a lot in the beginning. I don't know what to tell you. It's just who we are.
We really rambled a lot in the beginning, so I appreciate you being in there with us.
We didn't know what we were doing, you know?
Yeah.
We also didn't know it was going to be a, hit.
A thing.
We didn't know. We're just trying to help people. We didn't know, you know? Anyway, but I'll tell you about that in case you don't know, because we get like new people, get hundreds of new people every week.
Yeah. Welcome, new people.
Welcome, new people. My name's Kim, and this is the Plus SideZ Podcast, and we focus on education and advocacy around obesity and type 2 diabetes, metabolic disorders, PCOS, insulin resistance. We also talk about BED and ADHD and all of the different neurospicy things that kind of spun in there because many people with obesity have those things too. And so it's definitely more of a health and wellness podcast, but we talk a lot about GLP-1s because there is a lot of misinformation and disinformation. And so we want to learn. And, the first time I experienced no food noise, I was just like, I have to know everything of why this is off and how I've been struggling with this my whole life. I've been on this GLP-1 for 2.5 years. I've lost 110 pounds. I still live in a big body. I'm okay with that. We talk about, body positivity here too. We don't think they have to be mutually exclusive. And we just want to learn. And the more that Kat and I were learning, not only about how the medicines work, but also why they work and kind of doing our own, I think, mental healing. And, we do the nutrition and the movement and all the things too. And we talk about that here too. But I started to wonder, how are we going to fix this, right? How are we going to have more people know and have more people have access? And so we've dug into everything from policy, right? From government to, our healthcare system and why it is the way that it is, and just lots of different things. And I'm hoping this season to have on someone to talk about what's wrong with our food. Tell me what's wrong with our food. Even if they don't agree with GLP-1s, I don't care. Let's just talk about what is actually wrong with the food and how can we fix it? And how do we become part of the solution, right? So we're going to do lots of things like that this season. We're going to really, talk about this at a deeper level so that we can understand all these things and we can continue to, I think, heal and grow, and we'll do it together as a community. That's me. My name is Kim. I have ADHD. I'm sorry. Now, Kat, you take it over. Kat, take it away.
We're also going to tackle the things that, beyond the obesity, things that we're going through, like perimenopause and menopause, relationships,
yes.
things, all the things. It's because it's just one little facet of such a, I would say such an artichoke of life. All your artichoke layers.
Yes, it's so true. Oh, artichoke sounds good.
Girl.
I like an artichoke. Ain't gonna lie. Yum.
Yeah. But we talk about other things. But yep, I am Kat Carter. Kat Carter 7 on the TikTok, and on IG I'll put it on there. Mrs. Kat Carter. I am in the middle of working towards my 1,000 rides at my cycle bar. So that's my current goal that I'm working on. I am at 723. I want to hit 1,000 rides before 25 is over.
You could do it. I believe
it's only 200, and math was not my strong. 277. That's less than a year. It's February.
You can do it.
I can double up, take 2 classes on Saturdays.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
What's it like to be so goal oriented?
I love it. With one thing, with my fitness, it's goal oriented. If I could.
I am not goal oriented.
You're very goal oriented when it comes to your career.
Me, I'm just like,
what do I do with my life?
Well, I guess I am. Yeah, I guess with my career, you're right. With my career, I am. Yeah. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, that's about it.
Speaking of, so I know people get mad. I'm just gonna say it. Today is World Radio Day, and that's speaking of finding the career goal of your life. Once I kind of walked away and left all that life, I really have been kind of flailing, flailing. So.
I'm totally making that a short with your arms all up in the air. You look like what Kermit does. You know that balloon that they have outside the car dealerships where they're like,
yes, that's. So I've been flailing. So this one I don't flail. So I think we found something. But it is today, 2/13, is World Radio Day.
World of Radio. Oh, World of Radio, not even
World Radio Day, National Radio Day comes up every year.
Yeah. Love it. Anyway, hey. So we're gonna get started on our show.
I need a new thing now, Kim.
Love it. Oh, that's tiring. Speaking of tired, are you tired from your GLP-1 medication? I am.
Another thing to talk about too.
Medication. I think it's the perimenopause. You know what I mean? And we're also going to talk about that. So we got doctors. We're going to have doctors on about the perimenopause, about the menopause, about GLP-1s, and
your kids, your grown kids. We're all going through all these life changes.
Yeah, we're talking about and also I think in general, we just have continued, I think, to learn more emotionally. There's so much emotional work to do on these meds. You know what I mean?
That's the heavy lifting.
We should talk about. So on today's episode, sorry guys, 7 minutes in, I want to dig into something that I've been talking about since the beginning of the podcast, and I really want to talk about how, again, more how can we become part of the solution, right? To not just help ourselves to get our medicine, but help others. And I want to talk about how we can fit into current social structures, right? To be able to get what we need. You know what I mean? And I've always been, since diversity, equity, and inclusion came around. We're not getting into politics, just so you know. But since it came around, I was a part of building that when we were at a company I was at. And I was so excited about it because I have so many friends from diverse backgrounds in my life. And I just love the idea of being able to learn from each other and bring everybody together. So it was less about what I think a lot of people think about is just hiring, right? It's a lot about how we relate to each other. And it was just very cool. And so when I started the podcast, I was like, don't we fall under that, guys? Don't you think? We have a disease. Don't you think we deserve to have us considered when you're choosing what chairs you buy? Right?
It sounds like more work, Kim.
I know.
But I'm ready for it.
But I think that there's some, we should be considered in those ways.
I agree.
Right? And not just the physical piece, right? Mm-hmm. But ultimately, in Washington State, they consider obesity a disability, right? So I think that I want to guide us towards that discussion because it is chronic and we can't do anything about it. And I think that if there's options available for whether it be surgery, whether it be medicine, whether it be a friggin' good sized chair, you know what I mean? If there should be ways to make us feel like we belong more and make us feel more included, from everything from, policy to, again, the chair in the room. You know what I mean? I just want to talk about it. I think it's important to have these discussions and I'm willing to hear opposing views as long as you are kind. I don't have a problem with that at all. And so we're going to talk about that today. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's invite in our guest. Quick pause here. I've had moments on my GLP-1 journey where insurance changes or rising costs force me to look for a new provider. And honestly, that process can feel very overwhelming. But that's why the Plus SideZ Podcast has partnered with GLP Winner to give our subscribers a resource to help them make that decision easier. GLP Winner is a comparison platform that lets you explore telehealth providers in all 50 states, whether you're looking for brand name medications or compounded options. You can see pricing up front, read reviews, and get a clear picture of which provider might align best with your needs. Check it out today at glpwinner.com/plus-sides. That's glpwinner.com/plus-sides. Don't forget the Z. Let me tell you a quick story. I was telling Kat how I was regaining weight after my 100-pound loss using GLP-1 medications, and I was having snacky cravings and waking up at 3 a.m., and I had hot flashes, and I was worried. But Kat was like, listen, I went through this last year. It's perimenopause, and I started HRT, and she used this company called Winona. So I started going there to see if this was something that was going with me. Turns out it was, because I'm 46, and it's been amazing. It's taken a while to find the right dose, but once I did, it's just been huge. I've been sleeping. I feel more myself again. And the hot flashes are gone, which is, geez, really bad. So I will tell you, it's just been so big for me. And so I wanted to partner with them on the podcast because obviously many of our listeners are going through the same age range and definitely are having these issues. And there's just no need for you to suffer. So if you go to the link that's in our link tree, you can click on that and save money. If you go there and you meet all the criteria, this might be something for you to try. So I just want to make sure you had this great resource because it's just been such a big difference for me and Kat. Again, you can go to the link in our link tree and get what you need.
"20 seconds a week to lose 20% of your weight in a year with diet and exercise. That's the power of GLP-1s through Ro. Ro helps find the medication that's right for you, based on cost, availability, and your weight loss goals. Losing weight with GLP-1s is possible through Ro.
Without further ado,
welcome
let's
in,
Michelle. Yay!
Well, Nurse Tedder we really can now. We're like all over the place. Yeah.
We are.
But we get new people every episode. We get new people, and so we have to tell them who we are, and then they decide if they want to go listen to season 1, episode 1.
Just be warned, we were just getting our footing. So
yeah, sure.
That's on you.
Listen, anybody that listens to the show regularly knows if they don't want to hear it, they just click the 30-second fast forward. Okay. All right.
I think my husband wishes he had one of those too for me.
Oh, I know my husband does. I want one for him, but I can't do that because my husband's autistic. So he's really, really being very careful about how he talks to me, kind of slow, because he wants me to understand, right, and get his message across. So he's really trying to slow down and say it in the right way, and I have to really focus because I want to show him my intent to really understand. You know what I mean? And it just makes me tired. Anyway, I digress. Back to the tired talk. I feel like that's going to be hashtag tired talk. I bet that is on TikTok somewhere. Let's find tired talk.
It probably is.
I'm sure it is.
Michelle, welcome. Michelle / Coach Tedder / Nurse Tedder. You know what I mean? And you are definitely an obesity care advocate. We're so glad to have you here. I was connected with you by 2 different people that I trust. And I'm so glad to have you on the show to talk about your story today. And to talk about honestly, just your story in general, tell us soup to nuts. And what Kat and I usually do is we will go on mute because we are talkers and interrupters. But honestly, I really think it's because we're very empathetic people. So we're always oh, me too. We want to relate with you, but that just makes the podcast.
It makes us look like buttholes.
It does make us look like buttholes.
You guys are hilarious.
If you don't know the intent, then we do look like buttholes.
You jerk. Stop. Shut up.
You shut up. We do this to each other too. We're we got to go. We got to stop talking. Okay, enough. Welcome. John, maybe we should edit that out. He won't. We'll leave it in. We'll keep it scrappy. That's fine.
He's feeling spicy.
Yeah, I'm just tired. We're so glad to have you. So what we'll do is we allow you to take the space, and Kat and I are going to go on mute. And if you could just tell us your story, and then we'll dig into a few more other things we have questions around clinically, since we're very lucky to have you from a clinical perspective and a story perspective tonight, and your coaching and your podcast. I want to hear all about it. Okay. So we're going to be quiet. It's your show. Take the floor.
Okay. Thank you so much, Kim and Kat, for inviting me to be part of the Plus SideZ Podcast. And I have to tell you that, okay, true confessions, before I started mine, and I was, you start your podcast and you start looking to see in spaces oh, that's pretty cool. And I came across you guys and I thought, oh my gosh, this is really super cool. So I've been a quiet supporter for a long time. So anyway, I just wanted to.
We love quiet supporters.
But yeah, just a little bit about me. Yes, I am a nurse. I don't play one on TV, but I really am one. I did go to school and I did train. I really, truly am a nurse. And I actually am a board certified life coach too. So that's hence the duality of my handles. But on all my socials, I'm at Coach Tedder. And so, I have a long story with obesity. I'm one of those individuals who struggled with their weight their whole life. When I look back and I look at the pictures of me as a toddler, I was always the chubby kid and kind of known as the chubby kid. You're so cute, and all the good things. But as you get older, it's not so great anymore, because then you start experiencing the whole weight bias thing, and you get involved in diet culture, and the cycle just kind of starts from there. And so, fast forward to adulthood, after a lot of diets, a lot of shaming, a lot of bias experienced in healthcare, all the things, I finally, with the help and support of a really wonderful primary care doctor, ended up deciding to have weight loss surgery in 2017 and have lost and kept off about 80 pounds since that time. And also my, and my maintenance journey has included GLP-1s, which is great. But, part of what I talk about on my platform is that, Mounjaro, they're not magic. Like there's still the things, right, that you're managing, and I think there's still sometimes the trap of comparison. So, as I've been going through my journey, and after I had weight loss surgery, I was again looking for spaces and communities that could offer support. Like always want to know the real deal. Like, don't tell me the fluffed up story or I want to know, what are people who are living with this, people who are experiencing this firsthand, like what are they experiencing? And so, with that, I started like a little Facebook group, and it was called Bariatrically Blessed, because I felt so fortunate that I had access to be able to have weight loss surgery, to have a provider finally, after kissing many provider frogs, finally had someone who saw me and who was able to really get me to see that I, had a disease, that it wasn't my fault. And that was huge on the journey, because even though I was a nurse, have been a nurse for many, many years, I still thought it was my fault. Like I still was like doing everything that I could. And I thought, well, if I do surgery, doesn't that mean that like I'm not doing the right things? I'm not doing enough, or, isn't that the easy way out? I still have that internalized bias towards myself. And ironically, like I was always doing different things and activities like in my community to help people get healthy, because that's what nurses do, right? And I've always been in that realm of public health, even when I didn't know that that's what I was doing. And so I remember like launching this program at my church, and we were it was like a buddy up program. And so we were supporting one another, and I saw everybody's like numbers, because, we would get together, we would do physical activity, we would, weigh in on all these things. And I'm like, everybody else is losing weight, but how come I'm not? Like, or it was, it was not optimal in the way that other people were experiencing it. And I'll tell you, that was like really humiliating to me internally, because I'm like, how are you, Miss like public health, public awareness, helping people, nurse educator, all these things, and you can't crack the code on your own obesity? Like, what the hell? Like, that was where I was. And so I started this Facebook group after I had weight loss surgery, because I was finding that, you guys know, there's a lot of voices in the space, but not all of them are reliable. There's a lot of misinformation. And I thought, you know what? I'm like, you're a nurse, you're well trained. You could start a space and help people to talk about this. So that's what I did. More recently, I don't want to leave out the fact that in that time frame, I started looking for other reliable places, organizations, and things. And that's how I ended up finding the OAC, the Obesity Action Coalition, because they have been in existence for, well, at that point, it was 13 years. Now they've been in existence for 20 years. But at any rate, at that time, they had been around. And I remember making the phone call. And this wonderful young lady, she answers, and we must have had a conversation for like an hour. And I thought, oh, these are my people. Like, this is wonderful. And she goes, you should come to convention. And I said, well, I think I will. And that was it. That was the beginning. So I've, been an active advocate with them since probably 2018 or 2019. And now I sit on their national board of directors, because my advocacy has gone to that level. And then about 3 years ago, I found out about another conference called Healthy Voices, which is sponsored by J&J. And so a friend of mine told me about this Healthy Voices conference. It was right before the pandemic. And so you have to apply and they have to, invite you to come or whatever. So that first year I was waitlisted. And so never thought about it again because I thought, well, okay, maybe it'll happen someday. Maybe it wouldn't. Well, in 2023, I think it was, I get this random email saying, hey, we'd love for you to come to the conference. So I'm like, oh my gosh. So that was another tribe of people who understand, because that conference is specifically for advocates. And that really solidified in my head, like, Michelle, like, you're an advocate in this space. And you need to embrace that this is who you are. And you're really passionate about people wanting to have appropriate information and education so that they can make informed decisions about their health. And so that was the first year. Well, then the next year I went and they have something called an impact award. And so it's where advocates pitch an idea that they want to use to further their advocacy. And so I pitched the idea of a podcast called Dear Healthcare Provider. And my vision for it was that I would bring together patients, providers, and policymakers to talk about pressing issues in healthcare. And I wanted the first season to be focused on obesity. And so I pitched this idea of being more than my BMI, and they loved it. And so I was one of the impact awardees in 2023. Yeah, I must have gone in 2022 the first time, in 2023. And so I launched Dear Healthcare Provider in September of 2024. So the first season is completed and up, and now I'm starting to plan for season 2. So that's kind of the full circle story of how Michelle Tedder became like a fierce advocate with a platform in the space of obesity. And so I know that it's part of my call and mission, and is so aligned with my values for health equity and advocating for people who don't know how to advocate. And there's so many people who they don't know. I don't care what chronic disease you're dealing with. There's a lot of people who don't know how to advocate for themselves. And so if I can help one person to be able to have the tools to do that, then I know that I'm fulfilling my mission. So that's a little bit about me.
That's so fantastic. Your show looks so well produced too. Like it's kind of just like on a Zoom. You know what I mean? Well, we're just like, hey, it's lovely.
Thank you.
Great.
Trust me.
Yeah. If I don't let she's just gonna whine and cry. So just give me a second.
It's all good. It's all good.
Speaking of dog interruptions, here she comes. Here comes the princess.
This is Dixie. For those who are listening on this, can't see how cute she is. But she's like,
she's adorable. What kind of dog is she, Kim?
She's a Shih Tzu.
Oh, she's adorable.
Look at her. She's like,
wait a minute, is she a cross between a Shih Tzu and a poodle?
Mm-hmm. I call her a Shoodle, but she's a Shih Tzu.
I love that. I have owned a poodle and I've owned a Shih Tzu, and I thought they were the coolest little dogs. I don't own any now, but I thought they were so cool.
Yeah, but she is definitely. We have just made her rotten because we give her whatever she wants because you've seen her face, right? How can you not? And so then she's like, I want to come inside. I want to do this. I want to do that. I want the cheese tax. Like she has this like just
cheese tax.
When the cheese drawer opens, the puppy comes looking.
So true. Sorry for the interruption.
It's
We can
okay.
edit
She's
that
such
out.
a
Or we'll just
cutie.
leave it in. It's normal. This is my life. You know what I mean? So,
She's a cheese tax collector.
but she is a cheese tax collector. Yes. And so now
What's
she
her
wants
What's her name?
her name's Dixie.
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 Aw,
Yeah. I just always
cutie.
wanted a dog named Dixie. I don't know, probably because I'm
I
Southern.
love
I don't know. Anyway, but I digress. So, we're so happy to have you here. I love this story. I thought it was so interesting. I think that when you meet people who like get it, who understand the struggle and stuff, it's like really, it's really cool because you're like, I don't know, you just feel caught. You feel seen, right? And I think that that's hard to achieve in any way, but certainly I think with this disease, and it's so misunderstood. You know, I don't know if do you know Corey in our community? Corey?
I don't think so.
So Corey made a video about how she was on a plane recently and that the two people that she sat with specifically called her out to tell her they were so happy she wasn't large or a baby because they didn't want to sit next to a large person or a baby. And Corey looks very small right now, but that's because she's in maintenance. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And she was like, I didn't know what to say. Like I was mortified, you know? She's like, and there were several obese people around us. Like it's, you know what I mean? And just stuff like that. And I was like, it'd be so cool. We the live the other night. I was like, it'd be so cool if we could like think of what to say in those moments, right? Because sometimes it's, you know, like, because if I had been spicy, I would have been like, actually, I used to be really fat 2.5 years ago. Now I'm just a little fat. You're lucky. You want to talk about it? I'm one of those fat people.
Actually,
from my diabetic friends, like, you know, like that's me.
Wow.
Let's talk about it, you know, but only if I was feeling like very spicy. Honestly, the times when since I've been learning how to advocate, I advocate for my son, I advocate for my husband. I rarely advocate for myself. It's very hard. Don't you think? I know so much and not because I'm super smart. It's because I interview experts every week. You know what I'm saying? So like I've learned a lot and I've put them all together and kind of formulated the story and like how I would tell it versus others would. And it's like, it's very hard. It really is to be able to stand out, especially when you were so used to trying to kind of think blend in and not stand out in this way, you know, to be able to know what to say, you know? I don't know. What would you say? Do you have any ideas?
Well, it's funny that you bring this up because my family is dealing with a very terrible situation that just happened. We were Disney cruise last week, so we were out of the country. And my son, my middle, well, I'll say this, all of my children deal with obesity. Okay. My daughter is the smallest of the crew, always has eaten well, all of the things. And, you know, she's struggled, but could manage it without any medical intervention. And so she's reached that perimenopause phase and she just got on a GLP-1. But my middle son has struggled horribly with his weight. Anyway, so we flew separately. And they were on their way home. I left when we got off the boat Friday, I had to actually go to the national board meeting for the OAC. And so I flew to Washington and everybody either stayed home or flew home. Stayed in Florida or flew home. Him and his family and my grandson and my future daughter-in-law were scheduled to come home on Saturday morning. And so my son always buys the larger seat when he goes on a plane. He always does that. Talk about like size inclusive. Inclusive.
That right there.
And the lack thereof, right? Yeah. That right there. But anyway, he always buys the larger seat because he knows that he's going to need it. He's more comfortable. So he sits in his seat. His family sits across from him. And he brought his own seatbelt extender. Yeah. And he said that when he got on the plane, he noticed the stewardess kind of giving him the up and the down, you know, look. And so he said he gets in his seat, he puts his seatbelt extender on, no worries. She comes to him and says to him, "Is that your own seatbelt extender?" And he said, "Yeah, is that a problem?" And she gets flustered and she finally says, "Well, you can't sit in these seats with an extender because for your own safety, it could be a problem if there's an emergency." And so he's like, right.
Only if it's an exit row, I think. Only if it's an exit row. That's the thing. Is she
exactly.
new?
So
We're not.
right. We're not. Exactly. We're not. We're not.
Yeah.
And
I
she,
still have,
and it,
I have my own extenders.
yeah,
I
I
travel with
mean,
my
yeah,
own
and people
extenders.
do. People do.
Yeah.
So, so she goes on to say to him, well, you're going to have to move out of the seat. Well, first off, he's paid extra for the seat. And he says to her, he said, look, he said, what's the solution? Because, you know, I sat and here was the irony. He had sat in that same seat on the way down to Florida. So, and the other irony was the same couple who sat behind them on the way down was the same couple sitting them. So they're watching this whole thing. And so he says, so she goes, well, she starts talking to his fiance and she goes, and she's in her face and she's like, could you like respect my personal space? Like we can talk, but I need you to respect it. She walks into the cockpit. The next thing you know, my son is being asked to leave the plane and they tell his fiance and my grandson, they have to leave too.
What?
And oh yeah, it's awful. Like we're really like we're probably going to
lose him. Sorry.
It was awful, and he was humiliated. He was humiliated.
I can't even imagine.
Yeah, and so when he gets to the, you know, up to the top of the gangway, the police are waiting. And he's like, what is happening? And if you knew my son, in fact, he's on one of the episodes of Dear Healthcare Provider. It's the one that talks about policy. And he's like, what is the issue? And he's crying, you know.
I would be.
So they're like, well, they said you were uncooperative. He goes, I was asking what was the solution. I've done nothing wrong. And he said, and it became very clear. He's like, after a few minutes, like the police are like, so what was the problem? I mean, it's like just crazy. And so we believe that it's two things, right? We believe that it was fat phobia. I think there's the weight bias discrimination piece. And I also think that there was racism involved because he's a larger Black young man. And I think that she had decided when he got on the plane that it was a problem. And so, so the weight bias and the DEI, as we're talking, all of that, those things are interconnected, you know, and DEI is not just about race. It's about, size. It's about gender. It's about sexual, you know, identity. It's about a lot of things. And so, and so I think that we have
it's also
to be
not just about hiring. Like, I think that a lot of people are under this like misconception that it's also about hiring. There are really good programs in companies with really strong cultures that try to help us understand each other better so we can have a better society and communicate better and have better lives. Like, there are companies that are devoted to that and many that are not throwing this out the window. And that's because there's good bones there. You know what I mean? Like, regardless of whatever, in my opinion, 100%. But like, I think it needs to just, if anything, it just needs, it's still very new industry. And it needs just to continue to evolve. Like, we can make this a thing and it could be great. We just have to work on it and tweak it together. It's going to take that because when a lot of people are coming together, right, from different backgrounds and stuff, we're going to have to learn from each other, you know, but I agree. Yeah. Tell me like more about that. Like how do things work? Like in turn, do you know about Obesity Action Coalition, if they are doing anything with DEI or they're in that place at all? Cause I feel like there's a place for us there.
There's definitely, there's a big place. So about maybe 2 years ago, the OAC started something called Stop Weight Bias. Like it's a whole like separate page on their website called Stop Weight Bias. And they're looking at different areas, right, of bias and inclusion. And so they look at it from the workplace, they look at it from education, they look at it from like online spaces like this in the media and those kind of things. It's a wonderful resource. So, you know, anybody who's watching, stopweightbias.com, like you can get a plethora of information about it.
You put it in the show notes and everything as well.
Yeah. And so I think that the Obesity Action Coalition was birthed because they wanted to create the space to do advocacy around people who were living with obesity, which is why they're awesome. I love them. It's a great organization to be part of. And I would say if you're living with this disease and you haven't yet, you need to join. It's free to join, or if you want a higher tier membership, I think it's like $25 or something for the whole year. So it's nothing like major. It's not going to break your bank account. I don't think so. So anyway, right. But they definitely are very much a voice in the space of diversity, equity, and inclusion as from a broader sense. Because I think that many people are misinformed. Kim, I heard you saying that, in a previous job that you worked in. And so people always think that it's just about black and white. And I'm like, well, diversity, equity, inclusion is so much bigger than that. I mean, I think on all levels, I always say, if everybody was just like me in the world, it would be not good. It would be just like boring. You know what I mean? Like
so boring. Yes.
Right. Yes.
Absolutely. Like that whole variety adds spice to life. That's real. That's a real thing.
It's
like
real.
legitimately, that's what makes my life rich, is being around people that think differently and look differently, right, than me. Like I love people that make me go, and just think about things a bit different. Like and I just think clearly, like, the whole podcast is about that, right? I love that. I think it's super important, and I hate to think that it's become, I won't get into politics. I'm just saying, I hate to think that they've made it just about like from a hiring perspective and just about this federal piece that's going on right now, because I've been talking about this since we started the show. So I don't want to lose track of that, because I still feel like there's a tremendous amount of value there. Like, no matter what anybody decides to do at any kind of executive, governmental level, I think this is an important thing that we should have. And I think that there is a place, like you said, in terms of people with sides. Like my son and my husband have autism. Well, my husband's autism probably won't be as recognized in this, I would say this generation. Right. But my son's will, because my son was diagnosed earlier. He's been in a lot of programs, it's all documented and all these different things. So as he continues to get jobs and things like that and wants to feel included and belonging, there's things in place to protect him, right? To help him be successful, to give him whatever leg up or whatever accommodation that he needs and deserves, right? Because everybody deserves to have a rich, full life and be able to enjoy their job and do well and make money and support their families, So I think that these programs are very important. And I do think that obesity, because of the way the right bias is with weight bias, with fat bias, it's so thick. Right. And I don't think we realize how thick it is. I really don't. And when I realize it, when something I say goes viral and people go, blah, 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 go to the gym, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? And the stuff that they say, sometimes it is the nastiest, ugliest things, like the pieces of humanity that make me sick, will be in those comments. But it is an opportunity, right? To kind of talk about it and let's tease it out. Let's double click right on it and see, why are we saying this? Where is this actually coming from? And how can we do better?
Well, I think the issue too, Kim, is that, so everybody, and I'm like, and you're a liar if you say this is not true. All of us have implicit bias in some way or another, right?
Tell us about what that is. Can you explain that to us so we understand? Everybody understands?
Yes. Implicit bias is biases about certain maybe people, certain beliefs, certain cultures that we say. So if I say all Black people are lazy, it's like, excuse me, that's not true. And where did you get that from? And I think that unless we are willing to admit that we have those implicit biases and check them and figure out, well, where did that come from? Where did it come from that I believe that, I don't know, that I don't know, white women like flowers. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Whatever.
I get it. No, I get it.
It's there. Yeah.
It's there. And
I have it. I do. We all have it.
We all have it. Yeah. And so I think that's the first place we have to start, is to stop denying that we're all subject to implicit bias about certain things, right? And
why do you think that is? Why do you think we have it? I have an opinion, but I'm curious to hear
Yeah,
it.
I think there's multiple things. I think that depending on what your upbringing has been, I think there's that. I think that societal messages externally that we have gotten, I think that that influences some of our implicit bias, right?
Yes.
I think that even maybe on some level, some of our very real lived experience can take us to a place of holding certain implicit biases that we need to be able to challenge, right? So I think there's multiple reasons why we have it, but for us to deny it is an atrocity, not only for you in terms of your ability to grow in your thinking and your experiences, but it's an atrocity to society.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think it's really important. I think that if we didn't examine these things in society, we would be as far as long as we are now. You know what I'm saying? Like, if we really look back at where society was 100 years ago, we've progressed significantly. You know what I'm saying? And I think that having the ability to examine and go, maybe we could have done better, maybe we could have done things differently, is really important. And if we can put a lot of stuff aside and really figure out how that is and listen to each other, I think that's something that's really missing in the world right now.
It really is. And I think that I don't want to be like political, but I think that what we're seeing is a movement back towards those things that those of us in this space, I mean, we're having very real conversations and saying like, look, this is bull. We know what it is and what it isn't. Right. But there's still, unfortunately, apparently a group of individuals, a large group of individuals who have still bought into both implicit and explicit bias for various reasons. And people are driven because sometimes marginalizing people is a way for you to have power. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like, or to make you feel powerful or to you see what I'm saying? So that's a driver also, I think, of these biases that we have, or that people think that the automatic knee-jerk reaction to someone who's living with obesity is that, well, you must not exercise and you must eat ho-hos every day of your life. Like, that's like,
absolutely. Like fat equals lazy, fat equals gluttonous. Like,
you're right.
You think those things, right?
Right.
I think that's true. I think that's true. Or only women are emotional, right? Or like here's the thing. It's not that there aren't things that are true about that, right? It's not that there are things, but it shouldn't be like that was what that equals. I think that even at a like deeper level on this, I think that humans are always trying to understand things. And in order to understand things, we have to put them in buckets. We have to put them in categories. We have to decide where they fit so that we feel comfortable to understand so we can like move forward. And I'll tell you the reason I think this is because when my son was diagnosed with autism, I went to my friend Bree, who's a nurse, big fan of nurses, and went to her and I was like, I just hate they're going to put this label on him. I was like, I go, just because he's a little weird, just because he's brilliant. Like, I just hate because I was ignorant. I'm okay with ignorance. It's fine not to know. It's not okay to be willful ignorance. It's not okay, but it's okay not to know. As long as you're like speaking and not listening to learn, you want to be better, right? No problem. And I was like, just working through my emotions with her. And she goes, so what? She goes, so they give him a label, Kim. She's like, he's more than a label, but ultimately in this world, we try to understand things with labels, and okay. You can have a label about me, but if we have a conversation and you're not considering that I'm all these other things as well, then that's like a problem, right? Like, it really opened me up in a way to his diagnosis, and the ways I never expected.
That's a really good point. My youngest son, and my kids are grown, but my youngest son is because I said, when you said it, I said, I've got to tell him this because I love the way you said, what you said, we're neurospicy around here.
We're neurospicy.
I love that term because, and when my youngest was little, I kept saying, I said, no, he's a little different. Like he's extremely bright, but like, this is a kid who could like read like books like from cover to cover when he was like 5 years old. So I'm like, no, he's kind of Rain Man-ish. I'm like, these kind of,
their brains just work different. They do.
Right. And they do. They navigate the world in a very different way. And that's okay. But I think the other thing, Kim and Kat, that I believe is that we fear what we don't understand.
Absolutely. That is a human characteristic.
Yes, indeed. Yeah.
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
And so that's where we have to either marginalize or put it in buckets or whatever, rather than say, you know what, I'm uncomfortable. And it's okay to sit in being uncomfortable, but I want to learn more about this. Like, let me try to understand. And one of the things that my daughter shared with me, my daughter did a semester at sea. And so she went to 10 different countries. And one of the visiting professors on her boat was Desmond Tutu.
Hey, Plus Siders. We're so glad that you were able to tune in for part 1 of the episode. Part 2 will be posted next week. We look forward to seeing you then. Have a great week. And remember, you're not alone. It's not your fault. Let me tell you a quick story. I was telling Kat how I was regaining weight after my 100-pound loss using GLP-1 medications, and I was having snacky cravings and waking up at 3 a.m. and I had hot flashes, and I was worried. But Kat was like, listen, I went through this last year. It's perimenopause, and I started HRT, and she used this company called Winona. So I started going there to see if this was something that was going with me. Turns out it was, because I'm 46. And it's been amazing. It's taken a while to find the right dose, but once I did, it's just been huge. I've been sleeping. I feel more myself again. And the hot flashes are gone, which is, geez, really bad. So I will tell you, it's just been so big for me. And so I wanted to partner with them on the podcast because obviously many of our listeners are going through this same age range and definitely are having these issues. And there's just no need for you to suffer. So if you go to the link that's in our link tree, you can click on that and save money. If you go there and you meet all the criteria, and this might be something for you to try. So I just want to make sure you have this great resource because it's just been such a big difference for me and Kat. Again, you can go to the link in our link tree and get what you need. Today's episode is brought to you by Ro, a telehealth platform that's changing the game of GLP-1 access. What sets Ro apart? Ro understands the challenges of navigating insurance hurdles and the skyrocketing prices of GLP-1 medications. That's why they specialize in getting insurance approvals for GLP-1s. And if insurance is a barrier, they go a step further by prescribing brand name zepbound vials for prices close to those of compound GLP-1s. With Ro, you're not just getting a prescription, you're getting a partner in your journey that's helping you access affordable treatment and guiding you every step of the way. Whether it's insurance approvals or cost-effective alternatives, Ro is here to make sure that you get the medication you need. Visit ro.co/plus sides with a Z today to see how they can help you take control of your weight management journey with affordable, accessible care. That's ro.co/plus sides with a Z, making healthcare work for you. Check out the link in our show notes for more details. Are you interested in understanding GLP-1 medications like Ozempic, Wegovy, or Mounjaro? Then join us on the Plus SideZ Cracking the Obesity Code, the groundbreaking podcast helping people change their lives one episode at a time. The Plus SideZ Podcast is a disruptor. We're breaking down barriers, smashing stereotypes, and sharing inspiring stories that'll leave you feeling informed and empowered. Join us every week to learn from doctors who are specialists around GLP-1 medications like Ozempic, Wegovy, or Mounjaro. They'll provide you with science and facts to validate these incredible stories. But that's not all. We'll also bring you the voices of the GLP-1 Mounjaro TikTok community, real people who face the challenges of obesity-related diseases and disorders and discovered the incredible plus sides of GLP-1 medications. Our episodes are filled with heartwarming stories, laughter, and moments of triumph. You'll connect with our amazing community members who are reclaiming their health and experiencing their fullest lives. Are you ready to embark on a journey of discovery and empowerment? Tune in to the Plus SideZ Cracking the Obesity Code, and together we'll change the narrative around obesity and end the stigma. Subscribe now on YouTube or your favorite podcast platform and join our incredible community. Let's celebrate the plus sides of life together because every story deserves to be heard. Every life deserves to shine, and everyone deserves access to expert knowledge and medication. The Plus SideZ Podcast. You're not alone. It's not your fault.